Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming. We are back at it, our Course in Miracles study group here at Undefined Wellness in White River Junction, Vermont on Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. and then live streamed on Facebook and posted on YouTube after the fact. So you can follow along whenever you want. Join us from anywhere. Yay, we're back. For those of you who don't know, the studio for Undefined Wellness has been under construction, and so we took a break for many weeks, several weeks, and we're here to pick up where we left off. I'm going to open with a little prayer. Please show us that we are willing to receive the teachings that you want to share with us. Please share with us that which you want us to know and how we want to apply it to our lives. Right? Because the information only goes so far as its application. Guide us on this path, this return to love, as we are your willing students. Thank you. Amen. All right, so we're picking up. We are reading from the complete and annotated edition. This is the purple copy for those of you who aren't familiar. This is the most recent publication. It was published in 2021. Yep, by the Circle of Atonement. The reason we're reading this copy as opposed to the navy blue copy that some of you might be familiar with is because this contains a lot more information. The copy that was published in the 70s was, we'll say, over-edited for the time period and by the folks who were reading it at that time. And so a lot of really helpful teachings were cut out. It's a much shorter version of A Course in Miracles, still very helpful. However, this gives us a little bit more juice. This is based off of the complete notes of Helen, who channeled and was the scribe for A Course in Miracles. So yeah, join us. We're on page 23, Miracle Principle 32. Christ inspires all miracles, which are essentially intercessions. They intercede for a person's holiness and make him holy. They place him beyond the physical laws and raise him into the sphere of celestial order. In this order, he is perfect. Great. We're going to break this down sentence by sentence. We're going to go one at a time. Christ inspires all miracles. All miracles are inspired by Christ, our brother who lives as himself, right? We are all holy, perfect sons of God. Christ is our brother who lives as a perfect, holy son of God, right? Whereas we seem to choose confusion, right? We seem to choose a different way of life, right? Making a different choice. Christ, our brother who lives as himself, inspires all miracles, right? Miracle relating is sharing the truth with another, right? Seeing the other as they truly are, as opposed to the ego story of who they pretend to be, right? Or the ego story of who you would pretend them to be. Miracle relating is seeing them as they truly are and sharing that truth with them, right? And in order to see someone as they truly are, we must see ourselves as we truly are, right? If you are seeing yourself as an ego story and not a perfectly innocent, holy son of God, you are bound to see your brother as the same. If you see yourself as guilty, to be blamed, sinful, bad, etc., you will push this onto the story of your brother as well, right? And so miracle relating is understanding that you are one with your brother. How you see yourself, how you see your brother is the same, right? Simultaneously sharing this with them, how we communicate, right? Are we pushing guilt onto our brother? Are we making someone guilty? Are we seeing them as holy, innocent, perfect, loving, etc., right? Christ inspires all miracles. So this is just a breakdown of the miracle relating, right? This inspired relating in truth, right? Miracles are essentially intercessions. Let's look that up really quick just to get an intercession is an act of intervening, pleading, or mediating on behalf of another person or group. Miracles are essentially intercessions, right? So when we are miracle minded and we share this truth with others, right? We are interceding on their behalf. We are sharing the truth with them, for them, and for ourselves, right? It is equal to give as to receive, right? To give is to receive, you know? So this interceding, again, on someone else's behalf, intervening, pleading, mediating on behalf of another person or group. This reminds me. Interceding on their behalf. No, lost it. Great, no problem. Cool. It's an intercession. So our brother is confused, right? We'll put it in this context. Our brother is confused. We're confused if we're not miracle minded, right? So anyone who's not in a miracle minded state, it's a state of being, right? Anyone who's not in a miracle minded state is confused. That's it. It's just a state of confusion, right? A state of ill-placed belief. You're placing your belief in what is not real, right? So if you're placing your belief in the body, the personality, the ego, the story of the world, you're placing your belief in something that doesn't exist, right? You're placing your belief in a nightmare, fairy tale, right? A horror story, essentially, right? So when we see that someone is confused, right, we might plead for them. It's like a plea for insanity to a certain extent, right? So if we see that someone is crazy, right, even in court, they recognize this, or they say, oh, it's a plea for insanity, right? He did the crazy thing because he's mentally ill, right? He's crazy. And so in this way, we say, oh, my brother is confused, but I'm seeing the truth. I will share the truth for both of us, right? I'm holding the truth for both of us now in this miracle-minded state, and I am sharing that with them, right? This is where we're making an intercession. We're making a plea on their behalf, right? And there's no judgment here. In this way, like the analogy of the court and the plea for insanity totally falls apart because there's no judgment here at all, right? So there's nothing wrong, so to speak, with this insanity, right? It is what it is. It's a temporary confusion, right? It does nothing to affect them, says nothing about who they really are. It's okay. What's up?
Yeah.
No, it's good to ask questions. Everybody is welcome to ask questions. Oh,
Because
okay.
I,
Okay, sounds good.
It's about confused, about some confused.
Somebody who's confused. Okay.
Me too, sometimes.
Yeah, and this, we're not talking about confusion in terms of being confused about something in the world, right? It's not like that. This kind of confusion is something where it's a confusion about identity, right? If someone is confused about who they are, right? So if someone is confused about who they are by identifying as the world or by identifying as a character in the world, right? That is the confusion that we're speaking about, as opposed to identifying as your true self, right? Which is a holy Son of God, home in spirit.
Posso citare un po' più in modo fisico. La realtà è che tu sei uno spirito che ha diverse esperienze nel mondo fisico o altre esperienze. Quella è la verità.
So we're not really, yeah, a lot of people are confused, right? A lot of people seem to be confused about how things work, confused about how things should go in the world, how to treat people, all of these things. Any confusion, right? So the deeper confusion, right? This confusion of identity, right? Or this identity crisis, so to speak, right? Is the root of all other confusion, right? Because if you are confusing yourself for a body and a personality, if you are confusing yourself for a character in this dream, then the way you behave is going to be antithetical, right? It's going to be kind of the opposite of who you really are, right? Because it's going to be based about fear and survival and how do I push others down so I can get on top, etc. It's going to be about trying to make ourselves less guilty. And the way that we seem to do that is by making others guilty, right? So these are the symptoms, right? So the confusion that seems to present in the world is a symptom of the real confusion that's happening, which is a deeper level of confusion of identity. Does that make sense? A little bit? Yeah, great. Christ inspires all miracles, which are essentially intercessions, right? So again, we are making a plea for our brother. We are interceding on his behalf. We are mediating on behalf of another. It says right here, interceding or intercession most commonly refers to the spiritual practice of praying for others, but it can also refer to acting as an advocate to help reconcile differing parties. This is a great example. Acting as an advocate to help reconcile differing parties. The differing parties here, right, would be the miracle mindedness within our brother, which is always present, right? And the belief in his character, right? The ego, the personality, the story that he tells about himself or that we say about him, right? So these are the differing parties, and we are advocating for miracle mindedness, right? We are advocating for spirit identification instead of body identification. This is the intercession, right? That miracles essentially are. We are interceding on his behalf. We are interceding, we are advocating on behalf of his true self, right? Not on behalf of who we perceive him to be or who we would make him be, right? What we would create him to be, right? Make him be. Great. Next sentence, sentence 2 of Miracle Principle 32. They intercede for a person's holiness and make him holy. Well, that's sweet. They intercede for a person's holiness and make him holy. Let's break that down. A person is always holy, right? No one can ever not be holy, right? But he can confuse himself on this fact. He can convince himself otherwise, right? This is actually something that we talked about. I know it's been a while, but in Miracle Principle 31, the last time we met. If you're on the internet, you can go watch it. Yay. Miracle Principle 31, paragraph 2, God's creations cannot lose their holiness, though it can be hidden. The miracle uncovers it and brings it to the light where it belongs. Holiness can never really be hidden in darkness, but a person can deceive himself on this point. The illusion makes him fearful because in his heart he knows it is an illusion. As with all illusions, he exerts enormous efforts to establish its validity. The miracle sets validity where it belongs. Eternal validity belongs only to the Spirit. The miracle acknowledges only the truth. It thus dispels a person's illusions about himself and puts him into communion with himself and with God. So we're going to kind of speed around this because we already dove in sentence by sentence, but in the context of sentence 2, Miracle Principle 32, they intercede for a person's holiness and make him holy, right? God created us all to be holy, right? However, we attempt to deceive ourselves on this point, right? We are pretending that we are not holy. We hide our holiness in the darkness, try to bury it, try to cover it up, try to hide it away, right? And so we distance ourselves from ourselves because we are making distance between ourselves and our true state, which is holiness, right? As with all illusions, sentence 4, paragraph 2 of 31, as with all illusions, he exerts enormous effort to establish its validity. Have you met those people where they come up with a lie and then you have to put so much effort into trying to keep up the lie? You have to keep up the lie, and it takes so much effort to try and keep up with the lie, right? Or to the point of even lying to themselves about it, right? To try and keep up with it, try to keep up appearances, right? It's exhausting. Miracles intercede for a person's holiness and make him holy. So again, nobody can lose their holiness. We are all created holy. However, if we have convinced ourselves that we are not holy, right? If we have convinced ourselves, if our brother has convinced himself that he is not holy, right? We intercede on behalf of his holiness, right? And we make him holy. We make as opposed to create, right? He is created holy, right? However, he is attempting, and we do this to ourselves as well, right? This is not exclusive to our brothers. He is attempting to make himself unholy by hiding his holiness away, right? By diving into sin, shame, guilt, fear, etc., the story of the ego, right? The story of bad, essentially, right? And just like we said before, an intercession, right, is an advocate to reconcile differing parties, right? So this character, this ego character that's being played, and his holiness that is merely hidden, right? We are advocating, we are interceding for his holiness, right? We are advocating for his holiness. And because of the miracle mindedness, we make him holy, right? We believe in what we make and create. We believe it. So whether you're going to make a lie, you're going to believe that, right? Or you can share a miracle, you can make a miracle, and that's what you will believe, right? And so it is by interceding on behalf of a person's holiness that we make him holy, right? A miracle is an act of seeing clearly that helps us see more clearly. Right? Great. Christ inspires all miracles, which are essentially intercessions. They intercede for a person's holiness and make him holy. They place him beyond the physical laws and raise him into the sphere of celestial order. Ooh.
Huh. What does that mean, the celestial order? You know,
I don't,
does it talk about more about this? This is-
probably,
Okay.
yeah. They place him beyond the physical laws, right? If we are miracle minded, we are seeing someone as spirit identification, not body identification. Understanding that spirit identification lies outside of the physical laws. Right? Spirit identification lies outside of the physical laws. Does this mean that we're not perceiving a body? No. It's the fact that we are understanding that the body is not reality. The body is not who that person actually is. It's an illusion, right? Does that make sense, Mama?
Il corpo è un'illusione, non è sei veramente un corpo, soltanto un'illusione.
Il nostro
Spirito.
I think that celestial code,
Mm.
I think, is the law that we have inside
Yeah,
us. Because we have,
yeah,
because we are made like God images, and we have the celestial law inside.
yes,
Mm.
yeah,
We know
totally,
which is right or wrong, we know.
yeah. I think order here is referring to, let me see, hold on.
It's over this forward.
Yeah, so
No,
if we go back to miracle principle 9, it states a miracle is a reversal of the physical order, right? Because it brings more love to the giver and the receiver. So we're looking at, I'm just finding some references for the order, right? Because there's a specific, there's an understanding of the difference between the physical and spiritual levels, right? So understanding that if someone is beyond the physical laws, right? If they are on the spiritual level, if we are seeing them clearly, right, beyond the illusion. And it's, again, we're not here trying to deny the perception of the body. You see a body, great, that's perfect. It's perfect for learning, perfect for understanding, perfect for sharing. Yeah, exactly. The body is a tool, right? It's not a curse, it's not a benefit, nothing, right? It's totally neutral, you know? But when we see people, right, and this is a choice, this is one of the many choices, right? The choice between love or fear. If we are seeing someone as a limited body, right, we are making them limited, right? When we are seeing clearly, we see that someone is not a body, right? We see that they are beyond the physical laws, right? This is seeing someone clearly. You are holy, perfect, guiltless, shameless, blameless, innocent, creative, all-powerful creative mind, right? We are seeing their holiness. So instead of saying, oh, I see the character you're playing, I see the body you're in, right? I see the personality, the role, any of these things, right? And then advocating for those things. We are seeing their holiness beyond the body, right? Because it cannot truly be hidden away. All you have to do is ask to see it and you will see it, right? We see the holiness beyond the body and we are advocating for that holiness, right? Advocating for the holiness and making them holy, right? We make them holy. If we are advocating for the story of the body and the story of guilt, that's what we are making them, with our minds, right? And that's what we do if we're not in a miracle-minded state. It's not just about positivity, right? It's not about forgiveness, like, oh, you did something bad, but I forgive you anyway. It's seeing that they are guiltless, that there is no guilt involved anywhere, right? They place him beyond the physical laws and raise him into the sphere of the celestial order. Right? So we're totally beyond the physical here. When we're seeing someone clearly, we are not seeing them as a character, a body, or personality. That's not who they are. So if we are seeing them that way, we are not seeing them clearly. It's that simple. That's okay. The miracle has given the miracle mindedness, the miracle inspired by Christ gives us the opportunity to see them clearly. And all it takes is willingness, right? All it takes is I am willing to see my brother clearly, right? I am willing to see my brother clearly. Christ intercedes on our behalf, right? He is there to advocate for our holiness to us, right? When we may try to hide it from ourselves. In this order, the sphere of celestial order, right? Beyond the physical laws, he is perfect. When we are seeing someone as they truly are, they literally are completely perfect. If you are looking at someone and saying, oh, well, they might be perfect, on the spiritual level, but on this level, really, they're not, It's like, oh, you're not seeing them clearly then, because this level doesn't exist. This level is not reality. This level is not who they really are, right? It's a distraction, right? In this order, he is perfect. Fact, right? So the miracle is an opportunity to see each other clearly beyond the physical body. It is an intercession for a person's holiness. And by interceding, by seeing beyond the illusion of darkness and of hiding it away, right? Just by using willingness, just by our willingness to see this, right? We intercede for their holiness and we make them holy, as opposed to interceding for their character and making them guilty, right? Miracles place him, our brother, this person, beyond the physical laws and raise him into the sphere of celestial order. The sphere of celestial order. In this order, he is perfect. Miracles do this in real time. This is not something where it's like, oh, we're going to do this, and then someday he's going to get up to this level and this celestial order and all of these things. This is in real time. They place him in the sphere of celestial order. A miracle places one beyond the physical laws, right? Great. Paragraph 2 of Miracle Principle 32. The spirit never loses its communion with God. Only the mind needs atonement. The miracle joins in the atonement of Christ by placing the mind in the service of the spirit. This establishes the proper function of the mind and abolishes its errors. Great. Let's break this down sentence by sentence. The spirit never loses its communion with God. The spirit is always one with God, right? That can never change, never has, never will. All right? Only the mind needs atonement. Atonement, remember, is undoing of the belief in separation. To atone means to set back at one, right? To return, to atone, right? The spirit never loses its communion with God. Only the mind needs atonement. In other words, only the mind needs correction of this confusion. Only the mind is confused. The spirit is never confused on this fact. Only the mind is confused here. Right? The miracle, right? This sharing of truth, the sharing of love, the miracle mindedness, right? Seeing clearly joins in the atonement of Christ, right? The undoing set out by our brother who is who he is, right? Christ, our brother, who is as he is, right? Who is holy, perfect, innocent Son of God, as we are, right? Though we would make ourselves different, though we would believe that we are different, right? So Christ is our brother who has gone before us, right? The miracle joins in the atonement of Christ by placing the mind in the service of the Spirit. This is the true function of the mind. The mind is meant to be in service of the Spirit. The all-powerful creative mind exists to be in service of the Spirit, right? However, we may choose to use it for something else, right? We may choose to use it for miscreation, right? Or creating by the purposes of the ego, creating, making, dreaming for survival, right? Dreaming of death, imagining lack, imagining fear and loss, etc., right? The mind in the service of the Spirit, right? So we can offer this as well. We can say, I am willing. My mind is here to be of service to the Spirit, right? How can I be of service to the Spirit? This establishes the proper function of the mind and abolishes its errors. Abolishes its errors. Remember, errors here, nothing bad is actually happening, right? Errors are understanding there's a confusion. There's an error in how we are seeing or how we are thinking. That is the only error that there is. Nothing bad is actually happening, right? Christ inspires all miracles. They are essentially intercessions. They intercede for a person's holiness and make him holy. They place him beyond the physical laws and raise him into the sphere of celestial order. In this order, he is perfect. The spirit never loses its communion with God. Only the mind needs atonement. The miracle joins in the atonement of Christ by placing the mind in the service of the Spirit. This establishes the proper function of mind and abolishes its errors. Abolishing its errors is another way of saying brings clarity. It is correcting the lie, right? Very gentle, right? Abolish sounds can sound really harsh, abolishment, all of this abolishes its errors. And it's true, right? They are abolished. They don't exist anymore. The errors, the confusion, the belief in the lie is gone. That is what the atonement does. When we come back to love, right? When we return to who we are in the mind being of service to the Spirit, the all-powerful creative mind, essentially being focused on extending love, right? That is our return to who we really are. This is the proper function of the mind. And when we see the proper function of the mind, the little games we were playing, the illusion that we were believing, right, disappears as if it never existed, because it didn't.
Yeah.
It only existed in our mind. And we believe in what we make or create. So even though we believed in it, doesn't mean it was real. Right? By placing our mind in service of the spirit, we are placing our all-powerful creative energy in service of that which is real. Right? Eternal validity belongs only to the spirit. The miracle sets validity where it belongs. Sorry, we are in paragraph 2 of Miracle Principle 31, sentence 6 and 7. The miracle sets validity where it belongs. Right? Eternal validity belongs only to the spirit. If the mind is not in service to the spirit, it is in service to something that is not valid, that is not true, that is not real. What? And I say this with total grace, right? And it becomes lighthearted. What a waste of all-powerful creative mind to go towards making that which is not real. And at a point you realize you don't want to. It becomes a very simple choice. The choice is, oh, do I serve the purpose of the ego? This lie of the vulnerability, this lie of the body, etc. Or am I here to serve the purpose of the spirit? It's the second one, just in case anyone's wondering. You're here to serve the purpose of the spirit.
Yes, so is the spirit.
Yes,
So everybody will eventually just come back to its true nature.
correct. Correct. We are all,
Else is just a confused journey.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love this too. Ram Dass mentions this, and this is just a beautiful quote. We're walking each other home. That's all we're doing. We are walking each other home.
Che ci stiamo accompagnando a cammino verso casa. Yeah. That is a true home though, it's our eternal home.
Yeah.
To love.
The physical one is just temporary. Yeah.
It's very quick,
Very quick.
go fast.
It does. Beautiful.
Yeah, now look out. Yeah, maybe for syllables.
Mhm.
Those who went in the public.
Yeah.
They say so.
Yeah. It's true.
I think we'll stop there for today.
Okay.
That was great.
You say, okay.
Yeah, all done. That's it. Thank you for coming. Come back next time, Thursday at 6:30 Eastern Time. We're on Facebook Live, posted on YouTube the following day, and here in person at Undefined Wellness, studying A Course in Miracles together. Ciao.
What is it in?
More maintenance.
Yeah. Really.